Hey guys, so today we're going to finish off the Tabasco video. I've been fermenting the peppers now for just over a month. The reason I'm doing this now and not waiting another 6 months like I said in my first video is because it sort of defeats the point. I was fermenting this inside glass jars, which means there's not really a lot of flavor that's going to be imparted like it would be with what the Tabasco plant do. They have big wooden barrels, the Jack Daniel's brewery. It's the old barrels that they have already made their whiskey in. So it's got a lot of nice flavor in there. They char the inside of the barrels and they put all the pepper mash inside the barrels and they leave that for like 4 years or 5 years. The reason they do that is not because it takes that long to ferment, but it takes that long to draw in the flavors of the barrels. So you can replicate that, and I might do that next year when I do this again. You might be able to replicate that by using small wood chips, but putting a few of those into the fermentation pot that you're doing this with, then yeah, go for it. 6 months, a year, 2 years, whatever you want, and you'll have a great flavor. So obviously experiment, try it like cherry wood and some other woods as well, but it's really up to you. The way I did it is just a pure mash. So I just did the pepper mash with salt, like you saw in the video, and it's in a glass jar, so it's a pretty sterile container. Once the fermentation is done, it's not really going to do too much more. The flavors aren't going to improve that much more by leaving them too long, unless I had some other spices in there and things like that. So let's get on and let's sort out these peppers. So here's our pepper mash that we made, and it's looking really good. The last time I looked at it, there was a lot of white around the top here. You can still see a little bit of it there, but it's not too bad. And look, that looks quite healthy on the top there. So let's take this across to the kitchen. So there we have my jar of peri peri mash that we started in November, and it's looking really good to me. I think it's properly fermented through. So what are we going to do with this? So the way that the Tabasco factory does this, once they fermented the peppers, they ferment them for like 3 years, 4 years in these big oak barrels. So what they do is they take it out and they put it into these massive containers and they mix in vinegar. So that's exactly what we're going to be doing. The difference is with the way that they do it, they will be mixing that constantly. They'll be stirring it for about 3 weeks, 2 weeks, 3 weeks. So typically what people do is they'll add the vinegar into the mash. If you're doing this for homemade, they add the vinegar into the mash and then they put it through the blender or they mix it up or anything like that, and then that's the sauce. I want to do things a little bit differently. What I'm going to do is I'm going to use a stir plate. So I made myself a stir plate and I've done some tests on it and it works pretty well. And let me show it to you now. So this here is my stir plate. There's lots of plans online to show you how to make one of these. I did make a video when I made this one, so I'm happy to put that up if you guys want to see it, but there's so many online anyway. It's really up to you. So basically it's a computer fan that's underneath. It's just an old computer fan that I had lying around. This little volume knob over here, you can see it turning on. And you can turn up as high as you want. Now it's quite important to have something that you can control the speed, because you'll see when the stir plate works, which I'll show you here. This is actually the jar I'm going to use to mix this in with the vinegar. So in this jar, if you look over there, that there is what's called a stir bar. I have another one here to show you. So that's the stir bar. Now, if you look at this, it's magnetic. And all that's happening is this is sitting inside there. When this jar is on top, this is going to spin the stir bar and it's going to mix in whatever's inside there. You can see I just need to get it somewhat centered. And if I start turning that on, you'll see it's turning around. And you'll see that starts mixing things up. So that's perfect, and it's exactly what we're going to be doing here. When I add in the vinegar, we're going to add in this. I have tested this out with some solids. I blended up some old veg that I had just to see that it worked. So let's get this going. So I'm just going to leave that inside there. I'm not too worried about bugs and things because this is very, it's gone quite acidic, so very low pH, and when I add the vinegar it's going to decrease the pH even further. So these are all fairly clean anyway, so I'm not too worried about that. Today we're going to be using distilled white vinegar or distilled malt vinegar. You can use any vinegar you want really, but I want to use that. I don't want too much of the flavor from the vinegar coming in, so I want most of the flavor to be from the peri peri mash. So we're going to open this up, so pour that inside there. Give this a little bit of a shake. And there you go, you can see it's starting to mix that up. So that there is going to keep on mixing this up, and then the vinegar itself will get infused with the peppers, just like they do in the Tabasco plant. So there's a video on YouTube from that TV show, How's It Made? And you can see how they actually do the Tabasco thing. They don't let out how much vinegar they use and that sort of stuff, but they show the whole process from the fermentation right through to the actual mixing up. So it's time to turn off the stirrer plate that I've got running here. It's been going for about 3 days now. There's no real need to go for too much longer. I'm pretty happy with where this is now, and let's switch that off. So I've already actually given this a bit of a taste, and it is probably, I'd say, about 5-6 times as hot as the Tabasco sauce. So I'm pretty happy with that. So there's our sauce. Let's have a look inside there. Look at that. It's beautiful, nice and thick. You'll see it better once we sieve out the pulp, the bits. So we're going to be putting them into bottles like this. You can buy these on eBay and a few other places. Seems a lot easier if you're in the US to get hold of these, especially with these caps. I've washed these bottles, sterilized them. I'm going to use this to be doing the pouring, but first we need to sieve out all the good stuff out of this. Oh, I wish you could smell that. You need smell-o-vision. That smells amazing. So, I'm just going to get all this liquid out. Don't worry about that. That's just the stir bar that I was using. So this sauce I'm going to be using, I'm ruining the surprise a little bit, but it's going to be going as gifts to a couple of my family and family-in-law for Christmas. And obviously I'll be keeping a bottle myself, a bottle or two. But it's going to make a great gift. They like things on the spicy side, and they also actually love Tabasco. Tabasco has its place. I know a lot of people that don't rate Tabasco. They think it's not hot enough or it's too much vinegar or whatever, but it has its place. So you see, this is just, well, there's still a bit more liquid in there, but this is mainly just seeds and skin, which is exactly what you want. If you have a look at the how it's made video about Tabasco sauce, you'll see this is kind of what's left behind as well. They grind it up and use it for bird feed, or they use it for fertilizer. So that's that. There's not a lot left there. There's a load of sauce. So let me pour this into the jug. Look at that. That is awesome. I'm really happy with how that turned out. Really happy with that. Wow. Completely transforms the flavor of the pepper. Keeps all the good notes that are there. But, wow, that's a bit hot. It keeps all the lovely notes from a peri peri pepper because it's a unique flavor in and of itself. But it really adds another element to it when you fermented it, and secondly, when you've gone and done what I've done with the vinegar and infusing it like this. So there we go, we've finished our Tabasco sauce. All we need to do now is put the cap on. You can see there's that little inner bit. When I screw this on, it's going to seal over. There we go. You can hear the cap pop on. So there we go. And when you open it up, you have that cap on the inside. You can see it comes out and drops. Really impressed with that. It's got to be one of my favorite sauces. Actually, definitely is my favorite sauce now that I've made. So there we go. That's your homemade Tabasco sauce. You can do this with any peppers. Obviously, I use peri peri, but feel free to use any peppers you want. If you want to go super hot with this, go for it. I think it works well with the less heat peppers. This is a good all-round sauce, sort of like Tabasco is, all those Louisiana-style pepper sauces. So that's my pepper sauce, and I hope you enjoyed the video, and I hope you get making your own as well. It's super easy, and it tastes amazing. So let me know in the comments below if you enjoyed this recipe. Also, let me know if you've given it a try, if you've made the stir plate, if you've tried mixing the sauce up in this way. It's something a little bit different, and it really adds a new dimension to these sauces. Thank you all for watching, and we'll see you again on the next video.